Raphael, thank you so
No
much
worries,
for talking to us about the stand-up meeting today. So if you could just give us a bit of an introduction of what the stand-up meeting is all about here in your project and what it means for you as a team.
On this engagement at Bernardo's, the stand-up is all about grouping together as a development team, trying to see what each individual needs, and as an individual developer, seeing if they need help. The other thing is to provide a short update for the sprint goal and then provide context on the plan for the day, so the next 24 hours. I think the Daily Scrum also is all about that regular feedback, that Agile is all about. We want regular feedback, just so if there's anything wrong, it comes up to the surface rather than stays down below. And that's a big cultural thing.
You have one set time every day at the same time?
Every day, 9:15.
And how do you do that? Is there a bell or a gong? Or?
Everyone tends to just get up. Our technical lead, Benno, his phone generally goes off, so we go by that. But usually everyone just gets up at about 9:14 and someone starts.
And you gather around the taskboard?
Around the taskboard or the Kanban or the Scrum board, just so there's visibility on the work.
Right,
on
so you have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And then everyone just talks to each other, talks to the board.
We talk to the board, so we practice talking to the board, but at the same time we need to interact with others in order to talk to the board and show the status of work on the board.
And then you move around the tasks on the board, is that what you do?
Yes, depending. So if the update requires a product backlog item to be moved into, say, the in-progress swim lane to the code review swim lane, then that's done.
Then that's done during the meeting?
It can be done during the daily Scrum, or it can be done throughout the day as well. But what's key is to tell your team members that that's what has been done in the last 24 hours, or actually do it there. So it's key that there's transparency across all PBIs.
Great. And so I understand that at Bernardo's in this project there's 9 team members plus the product owner. Could you tell us about her involvement in the stand-up?
So a product owner on paper or in general is someone who communicates to the development team what is required. It's key that in Agile there's only one person, it's not a board, so there's one person to make that clear. Millie's role here at Bernardo's is exactly that. She provides the development team with what is required and what is needed to be done first, second, third. So basically what's the importance of each PBI in retrospective to the whole product.
So I think there's maybe 1 or 2 tests failing, but I'm not sure they're related to mine, but I'll pick that up once after stand-up and update the release notes and then move on to the story.
Neil, can I ask you, is that the story, because TFS board, when I checked last night for that particular story...
Just the data fix?
No, this one, the IDs.
Okay.
There was only planning task done, everything else was to do, and it's a must-have story, so I was a bit concerned whether we make it...
I'll double check, because...
Could you check?
Yeah, okay. If not, I'll break that.
Because there was a must-have story, it was to do with agent with IDs.
Okay.
And only planning task was completed.
I've got a feeling because originally this story was actually all of the tasks were created by Rajiv, I think. So I think I haven't looked, because I didn't actually necessarily play it in the same order. So I've just got to update TFS.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Raf, so we've just seen Millie point out that there's a must-have task which is barely in planning state. What does that mean at this point late in a sprint?
Yeah, so in a strict Scrum environment, in your sprint planning, you would have the team commit to a certain amount of stories or product backlog items, and they would be the ones that would play throughout the sprint. At Bernardo's, so we don't follow this strictly. We have product backlog items that are in the sprint and some that are must-have. So the must-have ones are the ones that have the high priority and should be completed before completing other stories.
So I notice on the board it says there's 2 sprint numbers, 108, which you're about to finish, and 109, which is the upcoming sprint.
Yes.
But there's already cards from that sprint in play, so can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So 108 hasn't actually been closed completely. There hasn't been a full closure. The definition of done hasn't been met. Yet, because there's only 1 or 2 stories in 108, we've decided to start sprint 109 so that the other developers within the team would have something to do.
Right. Okay. So you're blending the sprints into each other so that team members are not idle.
Basically. Yeah. So it's a late closure of 108, but an early starting of 109.
Okay.
It's a practice not recommended. In my opinion, it's not recommended. We should start and finish sprints in set dates. But this is agile and every place is different, and if it works for Bernardo's, it's working, so we continue that.
Yeah, and so it's all about the discipline of the team, understanding what they're doing, committing to it, and then knowing how you use the board in your own specific way.
Exactly, and it's more the culture as well. You know, if you saw at Bernardo's that the culture is a very much an agile culture. We don't do agile, but we are agile. So in the Daily Scrum, we pick up, oh, so-and-so might need help, Neil might need help, Singh might need help. So we always are keeping an eye out for these things.
Right. So rules are important, but it's much better to have the discipline and know what the team is doing rather than strictly following everything by the book.
Well, if you have the culture, you don't need that many rules.
Right.
Second thing, 16421 is ready for review. Oh, sorry, it's actually ready for QA. JJ, thanks for doing the code review. I've already fixed the code review points. Your code review task is still in to do and has no checklist. You might want to update that.
Should I put it back? I may fail it.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, you can do that immediately after stand-up.
Yeah.
So we've just seen that your colleague has taken this card and wanted to move it ahead on the board, but then had to put it back into in progress. Can you just explain what happened?
So I believe that the card went from in progress to review. So it had already been reviewed, but went back into in progress. But when my colleague put it back into review, the reviewer noticed that it had not been finished, so they put it back in progress.
Right.
So basically there were 2 reviews done, and the second review, the reviewer still was not happy.
So it has to be worked on a bit further.
Yes.
That's different to the card receiving a red dot, right? That happens later when it goes into QA and then a problem is noticed.
So the process is one developer writes the code, another developer reviews the code that has been written. After the reviewer is happy, then it goes into QA and testing. And then only after that can we do checks on done and see if the PBI can be marked as done.
Thank you very much, Raphael.
No worries, Kai.
That was very useful.
No worries.
I'm sure the student will appreciate your input.
I hope so. Thank you very much, Kai.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ta.